All right. I will call to order this meeting of the Conservation Commission at 6:32 p.m. on September 27th, 2022. Today is my mother's birthday. I just got off the phone with her.
My birthday too.
Oh, happy birthday.
Happy birthday to your mom.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Kristen.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, happy birthday.
So all commissioners are present with the exception of Rachel, who gave notice that she would not be here. This meeting is being held virtually, and if any technical interruption occurs and the meeting suddenly ends, it will not be resumed, and all items will be automatically continued on to the next scheduled meeting date. Also, as you probably heard, this meeting is being recorded and by the Conservation Commission. And if anyone else is recording the meeting, you're required to let me know at this time or when you begin recording. Okay, so first on the agenda is approval of minutes.
I will motion to approve the minutes from September 13th. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Second.
All right, motion by Kristen to approve the minutes, seconded by Fletcher. Just beat you, Erica. Any further discussion on the minutes? All right, hearing none, we can do a roll call vote on approving the minutes. Erica?
Aye.
Kristen?
Aye.
Fletcher?
Aye.
All right, and I am also an aye. So next on our agenda is an RDA, but you all are going to have to vote on someone to be chair for this section because I'm the applicant and I'm hereby recusing myself from any and all discussion and voting on this item. So the three of you need to vote on someone to be a chair for that section of the agenda and then take it away.
Does anyone really want to be a temporary chair for this?
I definitely don't want to be. So
Okay, there's one.
it's between you and Kristen.
Well, you did such a great job, Fletcher. The last time we needed a potential temporary fill-in. Would you be willing?
Yeah, let's vote me in.
All right. Well, I motion to nominate Fletcher for a temporary chair position for I already forgot your address, Travis. 24 Spring Terrace for an RDA to remove invasive species.
Second.
All right. I guess that nominates me temporarily here. So I think Travis has.
You need to vote still?
Who?
Did we vote?
There,
or just second?
There was a vote, I thought, but
maybe I missed it. Carry on.
Do we need a roll call? Is that what you were?
I think technically.
Yes.
That's why I missed it.
Okay.
All right. So just a roll call vote to nominate me as temporary chair. Kristen.
Aye.
Erica.
Aye.
All right. That's a quorum of the other commissioners here. So Travis, you uploaded a bunch of materials for us here, and Mitch, can you let me know, or Travis, let me know if Travis, you're able to be part of this initial discussion, right? Yeah, because you're the applicant here. So
yeah, I'm the applicant, so I can represent myself.
Awesome. Do you want to take us through some of the materials you uploaded?
Sure. So I'll start off with a map here. Hold on, it's probably going to be easier to share it from my computer. So I did a make sure I find this. All right, do you see this map now? Okay, so this is roughly where the trees are in my backyard. The yellow are the technically 3 different parcels that make up my property. My wife and I should say. And essentially I went out and I had a map of my backyard and then wrote down the locations and sizes and species of all the trees back there. And the green ones are native trees and the red are invasive trees. There weren't any non-native, non-invasive trees. So, and then the size, changes based on the diameter, but I have a spreadsheet that shows all the diameters of those as well. And then I have a second map. Are you seeing the second map now, or is it still on the first map? Okay, I just want to make sure I was sharing my screen and not that individual document. Okay, so then essentially what I want to do right now is just take out all of the smaller trees. And so everything that's yellow on here now is invasive and less than 4 inches in diameter, because I feel like that's a size that I could reasonably just take down myself without any issues. And it would really free up a lot of these areas where there are some smaller native trees mixed in as well, especially up closer to the house. And I'll just add that almost all of these are Norway maples, and most of them are like 1.5 inches in diameter or less. So they're like, 15 feet tall, like really skinny, spindly things. And you can also see on here the solid black line is 100-foot wetland buffer. There's a wetland down here to the right, and a stream, Graves Brook, that comes through here. So that's 100-foot buffer to the wetland. 25-foot no disturb zone is down here off my property, and then 200-foot riverfront area for the stream on the east there. So the entire property is in 200-foot riverfront area, and some of it down here is within the 100-foot wetland buffer. But I will say, this is also like, I don't have contours on here, but this is up on a hill, basically, above, the stream and the wetland. So this area up here is actually less wetland than my house is. I guess I would I would say.
Is Graves Brook a perennial stream or an intermittent stream? Just curious.
It is a perennial stream. Yeah. So yeah, I guess it's riverfront area for both Wetlands Protection Act and the Greenfield Ordinance. And there's also, I also mentioned like taking out some other invasives too. There's a little bit of like Oriental bittersweet that's growing up closer to the house in those trees. And there's a tiny bit of Japanese knotweed that pops up, and I've been taking it out as I go, but just thought I would mention that. And then eventually I would like to take down some of the bigger Norway maples, and there's some tree of heaven that are over 4 inches in diameter, pretty big trees. But I think for now, just clearing out all of the tiny ones will do a lot. And it'll be a lot easier than, having a forester come out and actually cut down these big trees. So this is kind of like my phase 1 of my project. And who knows when I'll get to phase 2, but I'll also add, I think I wrote in the application that I have a rain garden kind of up by the house that I have a black chokeberry growing in, and there's some service berries planted as street trees. And I got neighbors' permission to take some suckers from the serviceberry, and I've been cutting up digging up the suckers from the black chokeberry and putting them in pots. And so my plan is to like move some of those, plant those out here where I'm taking out like the small Norway maples, and replace it with black chokeberry and serviceberry that are free to me because I can just dig up these suckers and move them back there. So that's essentially the project at this point. And I know Mitch has some site visit photos if he wants to share those.
You want to take us through those, Mitch?
Yeah, I can share those.
So Travis, the spreadsheet you shared had like all the dots essentially on that map, not just the ones you were moving, or?
So in the spreadsheet, there were two different tabs. One tab had all of the trees within the yellow property area, and then the second tab was just the ones that I want to remove.
Got it. I didn't see the second tab.
Oh yeah.
Cool. So they were all the smaller DBH ones then,
Yeah.
like you said.
So that's like what you had a picture of there. This was like looking towards the west. There's like this kind of shows we're up on a hill and then like looking down on the neighbor's yard over there with the pool.
And your intention is to remove these by hand, not with any chemicals?
No, just cut them down with like a little handsaw, basically. I think this is where the bittersweet is growing in there.
On your map, you marked some stuff that seemed to be outside of your boundaries. Were you just marking it, or your neighbors asking you to take something down?
Yeah, I wasn't planning on taking anything down off of my property. That was just when I was going through and like figuring out where all the trees are. I just recorded where those were while I was there. This kind of shows, these are the ones that are closest to the house. These are like 1 inch in diameter Norway maples, but you know, they're pretty tall.
Yeah, they go fast.
I didn't, and inside there's some I don't remember what they are off the top of my head, if they were beeches or ashes or something. There's some native trees that are growing within all of these Norway maples, and they're like not getting any light at all.
That looks like an ash on the bottom to me.
Oh, that tiny one, that really short one. I think that one is a
or is it a pig nut? It's hard to tell how many leaves are on the
it's some kind of hickory, I think.
How many leaves are on the compound?
I could go outside and look at it right now.
Enhance.
Oh yeah, maybe that is a pig nut. So your intention is to not eliminate shade, but to encourage native growth.
Yeah, I mean, I actually really like the shade, and I want the shade to stay, but it's a shame that the shade is there because of Norway maples. That's my feeling.
So it'll just be a little interim period as the natives sort of released by the cuttings then.
And I will say that I have a wildlife camera in my backyard, and I regularly get coyotes, foxes, a bobcat at least once, a lot of rabbits and raccoons, a lot of raccoons and possums. So, you know, there are things that come through there. So anyway, I basically did the RDA like because these are trees in riverfront area, and I didn't want there to be the appearance of any favoritism towards a conservation commissioner for not doing it, not doing an RDA.
I think if the intention is, to encourage more native growth, not just to, expand the sun in your yard, then I don't see any issues personally with the Wetlands Protection Act or the bylaw, since you're in both riverfront and buffer zone to resource area. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I can definitely see the case for net improvement of the area, even if there is an interim increase in sun. You know, the Norway maples, if they're allowed to grow, will you know, die quickly and reproduce in the meantime, and then keep that up and probably lower diversity, I would think. So, but yeah, I definitely agree there's been an improvement, and doesn't seem to be any issues that you're not removing anything really large, you're not taking any stumps out. Erosion doesn't seem like it'll be an issue at all. So it seems reasonable.
And I see Nancy in the meeting too. So my property abuts Nancy Hazard, who also just took down some invasive trees. And I think we're kind of hoping to have a, you know, combined area of, you know, more native tree growth and other native plants as well.
That's great.
So I guess my ask would be for a negative determination type 2, that it is within an area subject to protection, but will not, you know, alter the area, and the commission is free to add any conditions to that as they would like.
Are you you said you're chipping, and can you just repeat what you're doing with the stuff you're cutting?
Yeah, so I mean, my plan is to just let some of it just kind of like rot in place, you know, and you know, add nutrients back to the soil. But I do have a vegetable garden in my front yard that is like a, you know, wood chipped around like raised beds. So my hope is to get some of these, or maybe a lot of these trees chipped, and like use those for wood chips in the garden in the front yard. I wouldn't be putting wood chips back into this area,
Got it.
but some of them, you know, let them stay in place and where they fall.
And can you just say again, was everything that was yellow, was that all Norway maple right, for this go around?
Yeah, so those were not all Norway maple. I'm going to open this spreadsheet. There were 3 black locusts, a half-inch, and there's
Okay.
a 4-inch, which I don't even think I'm going to cut down a 4-inch tree, but I just put that as like my upper limit to, like, you know, what I could maybe potentially cut. And then there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 tree of heaven in there also, from half-inch to 4 inches. And there are some bigger tree of heavens too, unfortunately, but that would have to be another time. Other than that, it's yeah, how many did I say? 3 black locust, 107 Norway maple, and 6 tree of heaven. But like I said,
Wow.
go ahead.
Do you think you can realistically leave like 120 saplings in your acre property? I don't know how many acres it is, but you know, without, just to let them naturally decompose, is that practical? I don't know what your capabilities are for your property, but or are you going to make a slash pile or?
Mm-hmm. I guess my thought is that I would be doing this kind of over time. You know, the RDAs are good for 3 years, and I'm probably not going to go out in one day and like cut all those down. So there is like a brush pile in the back corner that, you know, I could add some to that. But yeah, I guess the plan would be for trees that I want to chip, maybe like pile those up somewhere. I'm not sure where would be the best place to do that, but probably on the mowed lawn part of the backyard.
Could get a burn permit too, maybe, unless you have a fireplace. Norway maple makes good firewood.
Got a pellet stove, but I don't think I can make pellets myself.
Yeah. Well, I think since the intent is not, to open up the yard, but to encourage more native growth, which doesn't eliminate the shade in the riparian zone, I'm okay with this personally.
Yeah, and I guess I would add to that that I'm not planning on expanding the mowing area of the yard. If anything, I'm trying to reduce the amount of yard that I mow and let more natives creep in.
Like I agree with Kristen. I mean, I think those tiny trees just aren't doing anything. I mean, there's not enough room for them to grow, and there's not enough room for anything else to grow. So
Some heavy competition in there. Only thing I saw as an issue is maybe, and maybe someone can educate me, but black locust is native, right? Even to this area, it's just aggressive. Or is that not true?
Depends who you talk to. A lot of places list it as being invasive in the Northeast, like native in Pennsylvania and south of there, but invasive in the Northeast. But I'm actually not I'm not too concerned about the black locust, because I kind of see them as, okay, if they're native to Pennsylvania, climate change is happening and habitats are moving north. So eventually this will be part of the native range anyway. So
yeah, wasn't actually an issue for me. I just give you a hard time and answer a question I've had for a bit anyway. So
I'm looking it up right now, Fletcher.
Cool.
In the county checklist. They'll let us know.
Oh yeah. There was one photo that Mitch had that I thought showed a good overview. Hold on, if I can share this again. Oh gosh, I can't figure out where the top of this is. So this is just to show you, this is looking basically from the back of the house towards this area where all the trees are. And you can see it's like up a hill, and then there's this open area that's been mowed as a backyard, and it's just kind of surrounded by these little Norway maples plus other trees mixed in. You can see some oaks on the left there, and then this is looking south. So if you go over the hill to the left there, then down the hill, that's where Graves Brook and the wetland is.
So according to the county checklist, it is listed as invasive in all counties if we're talking about Robinia pseudoacacia for black locust.
Good to know. Cool. Is anybody thinking of a motion, or?
I'll make a motion to issue a negative determination type 2 for, I already forget the address again. I'm so sorry, 24 Spring Terrace. To selectively remove saplings within riverfront area and buffer zone to jurisdictional resource areas under the Wetlands Protection Act and the bylaw, or do we have to do that 2 separate votes?
I think we normally do it 2 votes.
Okay.
So maybe that could be for the act.
Sure.
So are you done? Second.
All right. We'll do a quick roll call. Seems a little unnecessary, but Kristen,
Aye.
Erica.
Aye.
All right. And then did someone have a motion for the bylaws?
I'll make a motion
ahead. You
to
were saying.
issue a negative determination, type 2 under the bylaw for 24 Spring Terrace, to remove selective saplings, non-native saplings in resource areas in the riverfront.
Second.
All right, and quick roll call. Erica
Aye.
and Kristen.
Aye.
All right. So that is carried as negative determination, and I will now step down as temporary chair. And also, I'm wondering if in the future, do you think Mitch, would it be better if you sort of like oversee the voting for the temporary chair, just because at that moment we don't really have one, and then just sort of like maybe make things flow a little quicker in those moments.
Yeah, sure. Just
Cool.
like calling names during the vote.
Yeah, just kind of like just urging people along. Do we have a nomination, and then initiating the vote? Just because as just a regular
Mhm.
member at that point, it felt weird initiating. Anyway, you get what I
Yeah,
mean.
sure. Mhm.
All right, cool. Travis, you coming back?
I'm back. All right, thanks. Yeah, and we'll only need to do that, have someone a temporary chair if the vice chair is not here. So should be less often, but all right. So we have no other public meetings or public hearings on the agenda. So next we have other business and enforcement updates. Request for certificate of compliance, Power Court, River Street, Shelburne Road East right-of-way, DEP number 1680342.
Hi, Travis. Melissa Kaplan with the BSC Group. How's it going?
Hi, good.
Oh gosh. Sorry, my screen disappeared for a second. So I am speaking on a request for certificate of compliance to close out the Eversources 22B8 project that was along those roads that you just said. Mitchell and my coworkers had a site walk yesterday. And everything is fully stabilized and fully vegetated. Work was performed accordance to the NOI and the order of conditions. However, one little snag, the erosion controls were removed by the contractor. But I did want to let you know that we at BSC, as an environmental ecologist, were doing weekly inspections and ensured everything was stabilized and continued to be vegetated, and the controls were not removed until there was full stability. So I just wanted to say that we apologize that the controls were removed without Mitchell or the commission's approval, but I think they were removed right when you guys were switching agents. So I don't know if there was a communication by my coworkers. There might have been, but I did want to let you know that. And yes, I do see that there are still some silt fence up, but these are outside of the jurisdictional areas, and I have communicated with the team that they need to remove these controls if you guys are good with them being removed, even though these are outside of I believe, right, Mitchell? I think these are not in the areas that were permitted. I mean, they're exempt.
So they only removed some of the erosion controls?
Yeah, the ones around the poles. So they kept the silt fencing, the bigger ones, and then they removed the ones around the poles. Probably because it was done by different people.
I think they said these ones that are still in are in intermittent streams. So these are jurisdictional under the bylaw, but not the Wetland Protection Act.
Okay, I do you remember where exactly that was? I have the map if you want. I know you're sharing, but when you're done, if you want to go over your pictures first, and then I can go over that if you want. I don't want to stop you.
Too much to see. They're just kind of showing the vegetation came back pretty good. It's hard to tell anything happened.
Yeah, it grows quick.
During the sidewalk, were you able to see if there was any erosion, any evidence of like rilling or gullying or soil migration down gradient?
I didn't see anything like that.
No, we never noted that during our inspections. It's with all the vegetation that was surrounding it. It stayed pretty much in place. Okay. Let me open up my map here and share. Okay, so this is the mapping that was submitted with a NOI. We had work down Power Court. So there's work down here, and then we had work along River Street right here. This pole was placed. And then back over here, we had this clump of work right here at the intersection of Mohawk Trail and Shelburne Road East. And I think my understanding was the silt fencing was down further down this road, Mitchell. I don't know if you could see down this way.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so I can pull up the other map. So maybe over here somewhere. Whoops, clear that out.
Which would be outside of jurisdictional resource areas?
It was just, there wasn't any work associated with this project, so I'm not sure, like it was all just replacements of existing work. So I don't know why there was silt fence there. Maybe it was so it wasn't part of this NOI. Hold on, can't get this cleared out. There we go. So there was some underground conduit here, and then it was all just existing stuff. So I think they said it was, I thought over in here, but that's what my coworker said.
So old erosion controls from a different project?
It could be, or it could be from this underground conduit. They installed it on the side of the road just to protect these wetlands. But like I said, it was just a BMP. I don't think it was part of this NOI. But I'm gonna get it removed anyways. I'm gonna have them do it. But I just wanted to let you know that that's what that was. I can report back to you to make sure to confirm that it was done.
I saw I was just looking at the special conditions for this project, and it did have a condition to submit an as-built and a letter from an engineer saying that it was completed
Yeah,
according to plan.
in the letter that I let me pull up that in the RCOC, in the request for strict compliance that I submitted, I stated that since we didn't have, this is the drawings that we provided you, it's kind of not necessary to have an as-built. And then as an ecologist, we at BSC confirmed that the work was built in compliance with these plans, and I was hoping that would be sufficient as well. Let me pull that up.
I mean, I know that's one of our just like standard conditions.
Yeah.
I think.
We get it a lot from a lot of it gets thrown in as part of the RCOC or completion all the time, and most commissions are usually acceptable with the fact that since we didn't actually submit an engineered plan, it doesn't make sense to get an as-built.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think that sounds reasonable. Are there any questions by the commissioners? I just wanted to mention, I know we just went through this, I think at our last meeting for certificate of compliance, but there are some conditions in the special conditions that are ongoing after certificate of compliance. So just to point those out, that would be here. Let me actually, can I share my screen?
Yeah. There you go.
Okay. So that would be 70, which is just saying that it needs to be stabilized. Maintenance of these areas shall be in a manner that assures permanent stabilization and precludes any soil erosion. So that one's ongoing. And then also 72 through 76, no dumping, no additional alteration without, commission review. Mowing or vegetation management prohibited. That one I actually had a question about because this is a right of way. So
Yeah, I think, just like the 28W1 that we came to you with, if we could, we understand that mowing or vegetation management within wetlands, if it's outside of, the vegetation management plan that we submit, that the yearly and I think it's 5-year plan, is understood that wouldn't happen unless it was part of a project, which we would then come to you for if it was significant, not part of maintenance.
and then,
So that one may have slipped through the cracks a little bit.
yeah.
But I mean, because I think for 28W we were going to submit something with the RCOC to have it recorded. I don't know if it's possible to do something like that here, but I'm not too worried about it, unless you guys are.
I mean, I guess it's only for things within wetlands prior to approval of the Conservation Commission.
Yeah, and for this project, there shouldn't be
anything
in wetlands other than the removal of the existing line is being done, but that's going to be done under an exemption.
And then just to complete the list, 75 is stabilized slopes shall be maintained as designed and constructed, and also that native plants, only native non-invasive plant species may be planted on site within resource areas and or buffer zones. So when
I appreciate you pointing that out. I think that makes sense.
So if we issue a certificate of compliance, we need to note that 70 and 72 through 76 are ongoing conditions.
I was trying to remember from last time, did we put some kind of wording that we would accept their best management practices their ongoing plan for maintenance?
I think that was clarified in an email between Mitch and
something like that.
Yeah, we did, and then we were gonna submit that with the RCOC to be recorded, just to have that. I don't know if it'd be possible when you submit your COC and you include this language, if you could say if you wouldn't mind saying, in compliance with the vegetation management plan, or I can get that language that we used for the other one to Mitch, if he's going to be preparing this, or if you do it right now. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to just add that in so that, because it does say mowing is prohibited, but we want to just say that we're going to go along with their management plan. Anything outside that is prohibited.
So the photos I'm finding in the COC request folder, I was just thinking, in lieu of an as-built, if there were just photos of all the installations and replacements, that would be nice. But am I correct in that there's only like a selection of the replacements and installations in the photos?
It's
I was
most
just
of
trying to
them.
reconcile. Okay.
Yeah, it's most of them, if not each of the areas are
Okay,
included
more
there.
area based. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
The letter states that there's greater than 70% vegetation coverage. It
Mhm.
looked to me like in the photo representation that we just saw, it was like 90% or more. Are there areas where there's significant bare ground that, why would your percentage be so
With-
low?
The 70% is just standard language because that's what's required under the Wetlands Protection Act. So that we just use that language. We could have said 90, but also the photos, if you look at the photos, they were from June. And some of them still showed a little bit of bare ground, but it's significantly increased since then. So we had no rain for a while there. So it significantly increased between when we submitted this and the site walk.
Are there any other questions or concerns or motions anyone would like to make?
I would just say, in the future, I think it would be, especially in a project like this where there's only a few, like 6 maybe, or something like that, that are getting installed or replaced. Again, because maybe a as-built isn't necessarily realistic or appropriate here, especially since they're going in where they were shown in the original map and it's straightforward. But pictures of before and after for all of them would be great, just to kind of. I know we,
Okay.
we do the site visit as well, but I just think that would be helpful, especially since it kind of jives with the COC with the special conditions in a in a related way.
No problem. We'll do that we'll make sure we do that on the next one that we're starting construction next week.
Awesome.
Yep.
And you said you would report back about the silt fencing.
Yeah, I'll report back when that's removed.
Awesome. So maybe that's something we make note of as well. Or I don't know what the commission thinks there. Maybe it's not appropriate to put that into the same place the language about the mowing allowances, for example, would go.
Can we issue a COC if there are still erosion controls on site? Do we need to see the site kind of demobilized before we can issue the COC?
Well,
But
if I could speak, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, didn't you said that was actually not even part of this actual project, right?
Correct. It's outside of the,
Oh, so all of this project's erosion controls were already removed.
correct.
Yeah, so I would personally think that we don't need to say anything about the erosion controls that are there. Like those are just like a leftover remnant from a previous thing, and like it'll be good to have them taken out, but I don't know if that has any bearing on this project in particular.
Okay.
All right, well, I think it seems straightforward, so I'll make a motion to approve a certificate of compliance with the ongoing maintenance, perpetual maintenance for this project number, whatever it is, whatever it is.
Eversource right of way, Power Court, River Street, Shelburne Road East.
That one.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion to issue a certificate of compliance by Erica, seconded by Fletcher. Is there any additional discussion on that?
Mitch is going to kind of add that wording again, like he did for the other one.
Yeah, I guess with the added wording that the no mowing or vegetation removal is only outside of anything already in the existing maintenance plan. And I guess I'll just also make sure I specify again, that was orders 70, 72, 73, 74, 75, and 76 that are the ongoing. All right, any other discussion before we vote? Okay, hearing no discussion, we'll do a roll call vote on issuing a certificate of compliance. Erica,
Aye.
Kristen,
Aye.
Fletcher.
Aye.
All right, and I am also an aye, so that passes unanimously, and
All right.
we'll issue a certificate of compliance.
Thank you, everybody, and have a great night.
All right, thank you.
You too.
Bye-bye.
All right, to get back to finding my agenda. I'm missing. Hold on a second. I have a lot of tabs open for something that we're going to talk about coming up. So I got lost here. Okay, here's our agenda. Okay, so next on the agenda is Vernal Pool in Highland Park report. And it looks like maybe Alex, Nancy might be here to talk about that. If they would like to say anything, feel free.
We are here.
Do you want to just give like a brief summary of the report that we received?
Well, Pat was the major generator of the report, so I'll let her give an overview and then go from there, I think.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Pat Sarantino, so I'm the person who wrote the report. Alex helped me with the monitoring. And as you can see from I'm not sure if you've all read this report ahead of time. So if you'd like me to paraphrase it a little bit, basically back in February of, now I have to remember because it's 2021, a bunch of us met at the Vernal Pool. It was Cassie Traeger, Nancy Hazard, myself, Phil Elmer, and Stephen Plotkin. And we talked about, what the concerns were of the pool. And my concern was a lot with the dogs and the disturbance the dogs were causing into the pool. And then other people were concerned with what had happened when there'd been a blockage in the culvert that leads out of the pool back in, I think it was 2015. So we had just talked about how we could figure out what was going on in this pool and what were the levels of water, had there been an effect on the amphibians and other animals. So I volunteered to do some monitoring. I'm a wildlife ecologist and I've worked with vernal pools before. So that, let's see, starting in March, Alex and I put in some gauges into the pools and we monitored the pools from March to September, a little bit into October. And between the two of us, we go every week to 10 days, sometimes 2 weeks, and, record water levels and, egg mass, count the egg masses of the amphibians that were using the pool, and then look for the amphibians and see how they were developing over the course of the vernal pool season. And I think basically Nancy and Stephen and Phil's main concern was, how is the hydrology of the water regime of the vernal pool been affected possibly by the work that the DPW had done in 2015? Unfortunately, we don't really know exactly what the DPW did other than right around that time, it appears that the culvert became blocked, probably over the years, obviously it was getting blocked slowly. And finally, between the leaves and the silt and everything else leaving the pools, in the little drainage channel, it blocked it completely, so that the trail that, I forget what the name of that trail is, it's the Bears Den.
Here's Den Trail.
Bears Den Trail, the main trail on the lower part was flooded, and this happened right around vernal pool season, which would make sense because, you know, it's springtime, everything's melting, more rainfall. And so there were literally frogs that year everywhere because there was so much water. And then they unblocked it. And I have to say that because I wasn't paying attention to the pool all the time, you know, I walk by it a lot, I can hear the wood frogs when they're breeding. I didn't notice anything different about it. And I think that's the problem, is we don't have data on before the culvert was unblocked. We only have data like now. So, you know, all I can say is this is what the pool, it's kind of like a snapshot. It just tells you, here's what the pool looked like in the spring and summer of 2021. And if anyone knows anything about vernal pools, I'm not sure, you know, what your experience is. You know, the animals in them are used to things being very unpredictable. So some years you have more rainfall, other years you have less, because these pools generally, not always, will usually dry up, like in the fall, sometimes late summer. And like a year like this year was off the, you know, rolls too. It was incredibly dry, like way too dry. The year we looked at it, and if you look at page, let me see if I can find it in my report. It's the page that has the graph where, let's see, page 6, where if you look at the water levels that we were recording, they had gone down in June. We didn't get much rain that year. It got very hot. Thank you. And water levels just dropped. And then July, we had at least 12 to 15 inches of rain in the Greenfield area, and the pool levels just shot up. So that was a really unusual event for, you know, a vernal pool season, that you had 12 inches of rain. So unfortunately, it's really hard to find kind of a typical year. I mean, they do exist, but they don't, you know, happen all the time. So these last 2 years are just an example of how two kind of crazy years when it comes to rainfall amounts. So because of that, all I can do with this is give you a snapshot of what I found out there. And we know that the wood frogs and the spotted salamanders laid eggs. Those eggs hatched, and I found what we call larvae or tadpoles in the pools throughout the season. And then usually you can kind of figure out when the wood frogs leave the pools, there's usually more wood frogs than salamanders, and they're just, they leave earlier than the spotted salamanders, and they tend to leave in a shorter amount of time. But I wasn't able to find any actually as they left the pool, although when I was observing it, I did see them in the pool and they were developing. And then we hit July with all this rain, and it could have been I missed them because, you know, they're easy to miss. They're, you know, literally like about I don't know, half an inch long. They're tiny little critters, and they look just like the soil. You know, they really blend in. The spotted salamanders, on the other hand, take longer, several months, and I was watching them the whole time, and they were developing. And I'm pretty sure they definitely left the pool. But they're also really hard to find, these guys, because for one thing, the more you walk around the pool, the more you actually disturb it. So when these guys leave the pool, they're all around the edge of the pool, and then you have to really literally watch out that you don't step on them. And I've been around pools where it was a very successful year. All the wood frogs left in like a few days, and literally I had to be careful not to step on them. They were just everywhere, and I didn't see that when I was, you know, doing the monitoring. So I guess the moral of the story is that the report I did and the monitoring we did just gives you a snapshot of what we found in that year. And in other year, it could be and is likely to be slightly different or a lot different. So, I mean, I think at this point, it'd just be helpful if you ask me questions if I can't answer them because we just don't have the information. I'll just let you know.
I have a question. Thank you for that, by the way. Did
Sure.
you observe if the pools dried in the late summer, early fall? I know it's That's sort of,
You mean back in 2021?
yeah,
Yeah. Actually, they went down to like just puddles. They got very low in June when it got very warm. But because I was seeing spotted salamanders after that, you know, the larvae, which is what they look like when they're still in the pool, what they're called. Even though the water levels got very low, it appears that some animals were okay. And then again, if that had kept going, they all would have likely died.
right, because
because
spotted
it-
salamanders
right,
take
'cause
till
yeah,
July, but
right.
did the pools dry, you know, in
You mean
August,
like in
September?
October? No, actually, the last time we monitored them, which I believe was early October, I'd have to look at my report, there was definitely water in the pools. And so I'm not even sure they actually dried up that year.
Gotcha.
So it's, again, because I walk in that area quite frequently, I don't always notice that, but I do notice that it's not unusual for those pools to dry up in, you know, September, October.
Right, I think that would be ideal, because the longer the hydro period, the more you introduce predatory species. So, you know, what keeps it a successful vernal pool is if it dries in most years. So if the hydro period is too long, that would be dangerous. And obviously if it's too short, that would be dangerous for a different reason. So,
Well, oh, sorry.
nope, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, some vernal pools do hold water year round. And it's mainly that they don't have fish in them.
Right, they just have more
Oh.
predators, so and if this
Right.
was traditionally an area that did dry annually, is that what you're saying, that it used to dry annually, or?
Yeah, well, just from my observations, and we should see if what Nancy has seen too, that it's not unusual for it to dry up in September or sometimes August or October.
Okay,
Nancy, I don't know if you've observed anything different.
Yeah, thanks for that question, and thanks for your report and all the work that the both of you did on the report. I guess this is a very unscientific thing I'm going to say, but what in general what I observed, like you talked about the year where everything overflowed and went all over the road, the Bursden Road, but before that, I would have said for years it was pretty full, a lot fuller than it is after they've cleaned out the culvert. And like as you suggested, probably the culvert became clogged over a period of time so that there was more. So I am concerned about how vulnerable the pool is now because the water level is so low. And obviously it was humans who created that pool probably in the beginning, and it's humans that are controlling the water level because of the culvert. So it's sort of an unnatural thing if you want to look at it that way. And yeah, I'd love to see a little more water in there to ensure that, well, I mean, it used to be such a vibrant. Well, I notice I don't hear the wood frogs as much as you guys do, but the spring peepers. I mean, they used to be just deafening, and now it's a smaller thing that happens.
I have another question. So vernal pool ecology is sort of my wheelhouse, and so I'm really interested in this. So, I mean, do you happen to know what the landscape picture is? Is there a meta population here? Are there other viable vernal pools within a realistic migratory distance, or is this an island, an essential island?
You know, I can't answer that question because I'd have to look at the vernal pool maps, you know, the Heritage has, and I don't remember seeing a lot of vernal pools nearby. There is one in the pool that's above I'm not quite sure how far you would say it is. Alex, you're better at distance.
Yeah, it's about
it?
half a kilometer
Okay.
up on the bridge to the south of the Sachem's Head there.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that was certified. I'd have to double check, but I'm pretty sure it was certified. And that pool dries up very quickly. And I'm actually not sure if anything makes it out of that pool. like on a regular basis.
But
That's
there's
probably
frogs
an
in there every day.
ancillary
Yes.
pool, yeah.
So as far as meta populations, I would have, yeah. No.
Oh, yeah,
no.
that's pretty
Yeah,
far.
that's the pool.
So which is that pool? Oh, it's where it says East Greenfield. Okay. Yeah, so the one he's pointing at now, that's the one we're talking about. And then the one up, yeah, that's the second one that's up under the power line. So, yeah, so I can't say if there's other pools nearby, because it's pretty developed over there to the west. And then you have, down by the Connecticut River. I'm not sure, there's one over there. So, but again,
There's a mountain
these
in
are getting
between.
pretty far away too.
Yeah.
And there could be other pools that haven't been documented yet. I
Yeah.
That's a
mean,
good point.
the area has not been exhaustively surveyed for vernal pools. Although it's pretty high elevation. There's a lot of topography there. But you never know.
Where are we with a status report on keeping dogs out of the pools? I know we had some signs, or we had some people, was it you, Nancy? I forget who, somebody wanted to put some signs up. Or maybe it was you, Alex. I'm sorry, I don't remember, but somebody wanted to put signs up to keep dogs out. And it was a really beautiful, well-designed sign to keep the polite request.
Yeah, I can update you on that. Basically, I just received the signs last week. There's 2 of them, and I got the posts just a couple of days ago. So we have all the materials, and those will probably go in within the next week or 2.
Well, we have to, excuse me, we
Yeah.
have to coordinate with everyone to get the signs up.
Yes, because we kind of wanted to make a little bit of an event, maybe invite the recorder there, for the setting of the signs and get a little bit of publicity about the issue and so on. So I can certainly keep people apprised of when things are going to happen. It's just a matter of finding a window of time and going out there and digging the holes and putting the signs in, and then coordinating, say, with a reporter for the recorder. But I would think within the next 2 or 3 weeks, we'll have that done.
Yeah, I should say Nancy and Greenfield are involved in that too. So, and Nancy, you're going to be part of that whole thing, obviously.
Yes, I'm looking
Yes.
forward to it.
Yeah, and if I should say, if there are members of the Conservation Commission that want to attend that, either part of the article that gets written, there's a quote or 2 from conservation commissioners. I can certainly keep folks posted, and if they want to attend, that's fine.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let us know, and if one or some of us want to come, then we might be there. I actually had a question about this isn't really, oh, Nancy, go ahead.
I have a question just about, Alex mentioned the possibility of getting a quote from one of you. So can one person do that as a member? Do you have to all agree to the quote, or how does that work?
If we're just, we could speak as individuals outside of the commission, but I think it's not a problem if they note that we're commissioners when we do that. But I think if we're doing it on behalf of the commission, we'd want to powwow here.
Yeah, I think if we were saying something like the Conservation Commission of Greenfield believes this or whatever, then I think we would want to make sure we're.
The way it worked for us when I was on the commission was, a reporter would come out, snap some pictures, and a commissioner might attend, make a few, off the record comments, and then the reporter would be directed back to the chair or the agent, and then they would have an interview over the phone with the chair or the agent, about the project, and that's how they would get their quotes in the paper officially.
I was thinking, since I'm going to be writing a news release, I was thinking about getting one in advance, but maybe that's too complicated. Maybe it's better to just leave it. Do people have thoughts about that? And I was thinking, Kristen, since you mentioned that vernal pools are your wheelhouse, I was thinking you'd be a logical person that I would talk to
Uh-oh,
about a
I'm
possible
willing,
quote.
I'm willing. And this was a wonderful report. I love the citations and I love the level of effort and the methods and the results and the implications. It was great. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just
Yeah.
want to speak a little bit about, Nancy's question about, should there be more water in there? And, I don't think that the report can definitively answer that. I think if people had a concern about that and wanted to see, well, what could we do to ensure that, it's a whole nother level of involvement because it's a jurisdictional area. It's a vernal pool. Anything that gets done in there to control water levels, I think is going to have oversight from DEP and Heritage. So, at this point, we're kind of hands off. We did the report. We reported back to you. It's up to others, I think, now to decide where, if anything, gets done. But in my view, if the pool is left as it is, it will continue to be a functional vernal pool. It may not have the historic numbers or raucous spring peepers that Nancy has observed, at least as it has in the past. I don't know that. I don't think anybody can predict that. But from my viewpoint, it's functional. As far as we've seen.
But the only thing I'll add to Alex, because he and I don't always agree 100% on this, is my only concern would be, with climate change, things could get a lot more dicey out there. We're supposed to have more drought, but we're also supposed to have more rain. So that makes it really, hard to predict what's going to happen. But I do agree with Alex that it's just so hard to tell what happened out there because we don't have the data. You don't have the information. And it would take, quite a few more years of monitoring to try to figure out, exactly what the heck's going on. And I do think animals are making it out of that pool, both wood frogs and spotted salamanders, but, and what kind of numbers, I really can't say. So.
Do you have any intention of continuing? I know Frank Goulet did a vernal pool monitoring program for like 30 years at one of his vernal pools. I mean, passive monitoring, with the staff gauges for the hydrology monitoring and as passive as can be, egg mass and larvae documentation. It would be relevant data, I think, especially as you said, because of the climatic changes. I find some of the vernal pools that I monitor that were traditionally too wet have become rescue pools. And some of the smaller pools that were ancillary are extinct, just with these drier years that we've had.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, do you have any plans to continue the monitoring, or is this a one-year effort?
Yeah, I didn't really see. The other thing is I work at times as a volunteer still, because I'm retired, out in Holly in a state forest, the Dubuque State Forest in Holly, where there's a lot of vernal pools out there. And Alex and I actually did a study out there for about 5 years. We monitored pools, and it's really, really hard work monitoring pools over time. And we were monitoring 9 pools. And we ended up stopping it after 5 years because it was just too much work. Because, even though we were just doing egg mass counts, we wanted to know what happens in these pools after we're done with the egg mass count. So the whole thing is a lot of work. And I noticed, you can't tell how many visits I made because I kind of took some of the visits and I stuck them together. But, there's just a lot of work to go out and do that. So it sounds like, I know it's a great thing to do, but I just didn't feel like I could put that effort in, every year. And especially trying to hold on to what I do in Dubuque or in Holly, something had to give. So, it's been really hard. One thing you can do is have someone go out there in 3 years and maybe look at it. So any kind of monitoring would be better than, no monitoring. But I'm just not sure if I, if I want to do it.
Agreed. This is excellent data. So whether, we continue with passing the torch, or if
Yeah.
you continue with it yourselves or in any capacity whatsoever, this is excellent data. So I thank you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You're welcome. Thanks a lot.
I have a question. Do we know, is DPW doing any kind of ongoing maintenance of that culvert, or,
My guess,
We-
and I'm just guessing here, is that they really don't, I don't see them paying a lot of attention, I think, in Highland Park, unless there's an issue.
so
So,
it was just when it overflowed? Okay.
yeah. And
So it could be getting sort of stopped up a little bit. Hopefully, maybe the water level will raise again.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I did notice, which I said right in the report, is once the water level goes down to a certain point in there, and I forget what that level was exactly, you have to look in there. The outlet stops flowing. So that
Mhm.
means
Yeah, you said
now that has no effect on the levels in the pool. And then at that point, it's, all the inputs of precipitation and water temperature and everything else that are affecting it. So that's one thing, at least we were able to find out that data.
And do we have any idea of when that culvert was put in, or no idea?
Yeah, to me, it had to be put in years and years ago. And I don't know a history of Highland Park, because Alex and I kind of figured that the pool, that area might have been always kind of wet, and that maybe, and again, this is a guess, when they put in the trail system, they took fill out of there and possibly created the vernal pools on both, so the vernal pools, I don't have the map in front of me. So the vernal pools are on the west side of the trail,
Right.
but there's also a wetland on the east side of the trail, and then it drains out of there.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. I see that a lot on like railroad berms, where they've
Mhm.
disconnected the hydrologic connection, and then all of a sudden you have a vernal pool on one
Yeah.
side.
Oh, yeah.
So I was thinking about, our role as the Conservation Commission, because I mean, this isn't like a regulatory issue, and we don't manage that land either. So it seems like if we wanted to do anything, it would have to be like partnering with the Recreation Department to do some project, I guess, to replace the culvert, or I'm not sure what like the long-term solution would be that we could help initiate.
Travis, you say you replaced the culvert, maybe because with like a larger diameter culvert, or?
Well, I mean, if it's complicated, but you could figure out a level of like, have a culvert of a certain diameter and like a certain elevation, and it would maintain a certain amount of water. And I mean, that's one way that, if it was like a culvert, even if it was the same culvert, like 6 inches higher, or whatever. So yeah, I guess I'm just thinking like, this isn't conservation land, and there's no current project going on that we're regulating to to ask for certain considerations to be made. I don't know, Alex, I know you were on the Conservation Commission. I don't know if you have any suggestions.
Yeah, it's a gray area, but I think that the upshot is that it is a resource area on town property. Therefore, the commission has a responsibility to see that it's protected. Certainly the DPW isn't going to care. The Recreation Department isn't going to care, what happens down there. They're not monitoring it. They're not, doing anything down there until somebody calls up and says, hey, the culvert's blocked, you got to clear it out. That's what happened when I was on the commission, and we had to go through all the steps to have the DPW come and clear it out. So those two entities aren't going to do anything. So the question becomes, well, whose responsibility is it to make sure that this resource area continues to be protected? And, technically it could be the Conservation Commission, but you don't have any mandate to do monitoring. So you have to be in a reactive position, until somebody complains about it or there's some impact, then you can act upon it. So I don't know. With us as the Conservation Commission, at the Griswold property, we had regular maintenance, with respect to trails and things like that, because it was part of our responsibility. Is this the same kind of thing? Well, it's different. It's a town park. And so I don't know. I don't have a good answer. If the commission wanted to say, well, we should pay more attention to sensitive resource areas within town property, that involved, regular visits to a site, documentation, monitoring when it's called for, you could do that, or you could choose not to. I don't think anybody would hold you against you if you just decided, well, we'll only respond when there's a problem. So that's kind of where it's at. And again, this was not an issue until Steve Plotkin, raised it as an issue, and that's how it came to the fore. So you guys could just certainly discuss it amongst yourselves, and say, well, we care about vernal pools. Maybe we should have some more, involvement with at least the vernal pools on town property, and once every 5 years go and do an inventory, something like that. That's just a suggestion.
Hey, Travis, we wouldn't be notified by the town if they were to do like a routine clean out of an existing culvert, even if it was in a sensitive resource area, such as a certified vernal pool or potential vernal pool or jurisdictional resource area in general, would they? Because that would be, yeah.
I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking the only other tool we have is like an enforcement order, but I don't think you can give an enforcement order for someone doing regular maintenance on existing infrastructure, even if it did have a negative impact on the resource area. So yeah. Oh, go ahead, Fletcher.
Quick question for Alex, Pat, Kristen, whoever wants to answer it. But based on Patricia, what you said, you were able to monitor and for the term of this report, and how how it is a lot of work, and there's different criteria that you can focus on. I noticed you had like depth, and then you were talking about egg mass in total, and what actually made it out of the pool, for example. So I was just curious if you had like a specific, not to call it a bare minimum, but what are some of like metrics, some basic monitoring do you think that would be most helpful? So would it just be sort of like depth, if there even is a ranking of it, so to speak? So would it be like depth, or just like successful, larval or organisms that are escaping the pool? Just so if we do have, some volunteer power, maybe we could target it well.
Well, one thing would be to probably taking the depth is really important, because then you can tell, is the pool, how long is water staying in the pool? So that's probably one of the biggest. Then I would say right along with that would be, are the animals still breeding in the pool? Because, if you don't look for the egg masses and the pool's holding water and there are no egg masses, then something's, really wrong now. And then I think the third thing is, if you can, try to figure out if the animals are actually able to complete their life cycle and leave the pool successfully. So kind of in that order. But I guess,
Totally agree.
yeah, but I guess you'd have to say definitely the egg masses and getting water levels.
Great.
At least, things started okay. It's nice to know though, whether, they were able to leave the pool successfully.
Got it. And did you have like just a like a basic gauge of some kind that you would read, or was there sensors you were using, or I'm just curious?
It was very basic. It was just, plastic, what do you call
Rod,
it?
yeah, it's just a fiberglass rod that
yeah.
we had incremented every
Got it.
centimeter,
Yeah,
set it at a, fixed level, and then just came by and read the depth with a pair of binoculars.
Cool.
Wait, did you made your own staff gauge?
Oh, yeah.
they're still in there. I mean, the thing
Is it still there?
Yeah, they're still there, yeah.
They're still there?
The thing is,
Oh,
yeah, the reason we didn't, we tried not to enter that pool. For one thing, those pools are really, really silty.
yeah.
And so once you just stuck your foot in, either you almost got stuck in there, or you just made a mess of the pool. It was all silty, which isn't good for the critters in there. So,
Right.
yeah, so using the binoculars worked out really well. And we used binoculars to even monitor the animals, because on a sunny day, when you didn't go in there when it was raining, you can actually see the animals and you can estimate about how big they are, just using binoculars. It's not as scientific, but again, I didn't want to keep disturbing everything in there.
Especially with those salamanders and their external gills. They're so sensitive to siltation. Thank you.
But if the gauges are still there, it might be easy enough for people to be able to go by every now and then and check on it or whatever.
Yeah, long term, I don't think it's a good idea, because they can shift with ice formation. Kids can
That's
go
true.
in and yank them, pull them up, push them down, and then they're out of calibration.
That's true.
But
Yeah.
long term, I think you have to do something more permanent for a staff gauge.
But at least we know where we put them. So if someone was monitoring it, you could put them in at least in about the same spot. So that, that would be helpful. And if somebody wanted to monitor it, I could give them a little bit of help with that, but again, I can't go there and do that every year, because, we really, like I said, at times you have to go every week. Sometimes you can wait, but then, if you wait too long, you can miss something, and then you feel bad, like, gee, I waited an extra few days to go out and monitor, and then I might have missed something.
Your report was great though, because it provided a protocol for any future monitoring. It provided baseline data. So I think that's really helpful.
Yeah.
With the water level monitoring, it just made me think of my job, and I was thinking, oh, it's too bad we don't have like hobo data loggers, like have those in the water and get the temperature and the depth, every hour for the next 10 years.
He just ordered $8,000 worth of hobo loggers today for a project.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I guess tonight we're probably not going to determine a long-term monitoring strategy, but yeah, thank you again for all the work that you've put into this, and it's great, and it's a good starting point to see what's going on in there. I don't know if anyone has any other questions, or if you guys have anything you want to add before we move on.
No, just say that, most of the time it's enjoyable work, and maybe Kristen knows this, when you're out there and the humidity is at 90%, and so you're covered in sweat and the mosquitoes are biting you, and you can't put fly dope on, because then you're sticking your hand in the water. So,
Or it's like 39 degrees and raining, and it's at night, and it's the last place you want to be.
well, luckily, we weren't out there at 39 degrees at night. That was one thing, but
well, thank you so much. It's really wonderful, and I recognize that was significant labor of love. We appreciate it. The whole community, if they don't know, should appreciate it.
all right, thank you very much.
I want to thank all of you for
and do let us know about
Yeah, okay, I just wanted to say that I wanted to thank all the commissioners for really reading this and paying attention to it and listening to everything that that Pat and Alex have learned and that we've all learned. I mean, I dream about maybe some teacher or some school group might pick up on this, and it's a great project, although of course it's the wrong time of year for school, but nevertheless, or maybe a homeschool person might pick up on it. Yeah.
Hmm.
So thank you so much, and yeah, I hope that you continue to be keep track of the resource areas that are city owned on city owned property and ensure their health. Thanks.
Mhm. Thanks. Erica, I think you had something.
I was just gonna say, just, do keep us up to date about when you're gonna be doing your little ceremony or whatever with the signs, and
Mhm.
hopefully somebody can come. I think definitely Nancy could, if you're writing something up, you could, because didn't we vote to give a letter of support for this to start with? So I mean, I think you could say that the commission supports this endeavor. So, without.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, I was just thinking like that, the recording of that meeting is probably on YouTube on the GCTV. You could probably mine some quotes out of that even. But we can always give quotes like, Kristen, Conservation Commissioner.
Yeah.
Like, I'm terrified of that. I forgot all about that GCTV thing. It just freaks me out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I picked up a great quote from you, Kristen, just about
Okay.
the quality of the report and keep it simple and factual. So thank you. I'll be in touch with you.
All right. Thank you. Okay, so we should probably move on to the rest of our
Thank you for all your
agenda.
work.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah,
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for everything.
I have to find my agenda again. Okay. So next on our agenda is update to signature authorization. Mitch, I don't know if you wanted to just mention that briefly.
Yeah, sure. So I'll pull it up. So this document that lets me sign for everyone, I'm looking at the
Mhm.
wording and it's, for things that are issued during the state of emergency, which, it's been over. So I don't know if we want to change the wording or I guess otherwise have people come in and sign, but yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. It's sort of ironic that it's exactly 1 year ago today.
Yeah, so I was actually looking into this, and because I was thinking like, well, was this something we were only allowed to do because of the state of emergency? And then if that's true, then it seems like we can't do it again. But I did find I found a few things. One is a Mass DEP COVID-19 wetland facts for conservation commissions and applicants. And there's a Mitch, if I could share my screen.
Yeah, sure.
There are a couple things in here that are, so are electronic signatures acceptable? Yes, the Massachusetts Uniform Electronic Transactions Act provides that electronic signatures have the same legal effect as handwritten signatures, so long as the relevant statute or regulation does not expressly require a handwritten signature, and so long as the person signing electronically intends for their electronic signature to be considered the same as a handwritten signature. The Wetlands Protection Act statute and regulations do not require a handwritten signature, and therefore electronic signatures would be acceptable. However, the Wetlands Protection Act does require signatures of a majority of conservation commissioners, so electronic signatures would need to be provided for each signatory for any determination, order, or certificate of compliance. And then you should check your bylaw to see if you need a handwritten signature. And then this next question after that is basically what we did. It says recently a Concom voted to authorize its agent to sign decisions on behalf of a majority of the commission. One way to do this is a delegation affidavit indicating the commissioner's intent to sign. Since more than one town council has recommended its use specifically to address the Wetlands Protection Act's need for a majority of commissioners' signatures on each decision, is it acceptable to Mass DEP? Once again, the agent has the commission's delegation notarized and recorded. Oh, once an agent has the commission's delegation notarized and recorded, it seems like an unnecessary extra step to get electronic signatures while working remotely. Does this satisfy the statutory and regulatory requirements, or is there another option for submission of decisions to Mass DEP and the registries of deeds? And so this says the Wetlands Protection Act statute requires the order, quote, be signed by the majority or a majority of the Conservation Commission or Board of Selectmen, as the case may be. The Emergency Act does not waive this requirement, and thus the existing Wetlands Protection Act requirements are still in effect. While the Wetlands Protection Act requires the signature of the commissioners, nothing in the Wetlands Protection Act or the wetlands regulations prohibit an agent or other administrative staff from inserting the Conservation Commission's signatures, so long as the relevant vote on the Conservation Commission's decision was duly taken into accord with 310 CMR 10052 and the open meeting law. Any Conservation Commission that wishes to delegate to the conservation agent the authority to insert commissioner signatures onto the form should consult with town council. So that seems like it's pretty clear that you can do that and that it's not related to the emergency, state of emergency. Does that sound right to everyone else too?
Those.
And then there is I can't see it because of the, hold on, I'm trying to find, I can't change tabs up here because the screen share thing is in the way. Oh, so there was also this thing, this like lawyer thing about electronic signatures by municipal boards. This was in a Conservation Commission meeting agenda stuff. And it's talking about that, the law that allows you to do that. And it specifically has a thing for conservation commissions. It says that the Wetlands Protection Act requires that order of conditions be signed by a majority. Previously, some registries had rejected order of conditions containing electronic signatures. Yeah, it says, note that because state law requires that orders of conditions contain the signatures of a majority of Conservation Commission members, in our opinion, the commission could not vote to delegate signatory authority for orders of conditions issued pursuant to the Wetlands Protection Act to a single commission member or conservation agent. But I think it's clear from the DEP thing that is allowed. I don't know. I got into all these weeds reading about what can and can't be done.
Sounds like.
Sounds like if we have already approved delegating to the agent and we get, it sounds like maybe we should ask town council. And if we get that okay, then we're kind of good to go. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it kind of seems like if we've been doing it this long and it hasn't been a problem, that it's probably not a problem.
Yeah, I'm with you there. That was the only other thing that seemed to be called out as another step, but
there was,
We haven't had anything rejected by the registrar, right?
No, she was confused at first how that worked, but ultimately, yeah, no problems.
There was one thing I found that, oh man. Oh yeah, in that same thing that I was just showing with the highlighting, it says that it has like a list of steps to take for a commission or board or whatever to authorize electronic signatures. And it says that the first step is a vote to recognize and accept the provisions of general law. What is the C after general law? General law C 110G. Chapter, there you go. Chapter 110G and authorize electronic signatures. It says the motion at the meeting can take the following form. Move that the Greenfield Conservation Commission hereby recognizes and accepts the provisions of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 110G regarding electronic signatures, and that its members will henceforth execute documents either with electronic signatures or with wet ink signatures that will both carry the same legal weight and effect. And then it says, assuming that this matter, if it's at a virtual meeting, the vote must be by roll call and recorded in the meeting minutes as a roll call vote. Yeah, and then
good question about the recording of the meeting minutes. Does that just mean that we're actually recording the meeting, or does it mean that we're like getting meeting minutes recorded in registry or anything like that?
I think it just means it needs to be written in the minutes.
Okay.
That it was by roll call vote.
Okay. Sorry, stupid question.
No, that's fine. And then but then after that it says, if adopted, a certificate of this vote is then prepared, which I've never heard of a certificate of the vote. But then it says, this certificate of vote containing the language of the motion and attesting the vote is signed and then certified by the city or town clerk prior to being recorded at the applicable registry of deeds. It says we have attached a sample certificate of vote for your use. I don't know. And then it was saying every time then that you use that, that we would have something signed electronically, it would say something like pursuant to the vote taken by Greenfield Conservation Commission on whatever date, the following signatures are made in accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 110G, and pursuant to said Commission's electronic signature authorization vote recorded on date with the blank Registry of Deeds, Franklin County Registry of Deeds. So it's saying that you should record it in the Registry of Deeds and then refer to that document in the Registry of Deeds every time there's electronic signatures. So I think that's fine to do. And I guess it doesn't say the recording of the vote. I don't know if we have to sign that. If you can sign that electronically. Oh yeah, there's a certificate of vote. There's a certificate of vote like form that just has like language, and it would have everyone's names and how they voted, and then it just gets signed by well, it said the city clerk, but
see, once it starts getting into individual names, does that mean it's going to have to change, or we're going to have to re-vote on it every time there's a new commissioner? Or
I think
if it just says Conservation Commission, that's just the commission, the board itself. But
yeah, well, I think the individual names was just showing that each person voted, like how each person voted, but yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, it says in the certificate of vote, it says the commission recognizes and accepts the law. Its members will henceforth execute documents either with electronic signatures or wet ink.
okay, no, it sounds like in perpetuity.
I guess so, yeah. I don't know. So that's all very complicated, but that's what I found when trying to figure this out. So I'm assuming we probably still want to sign things electronically, so we don't all have to drive in and sign things.
Yes.
Yeah. But maybe doing this certificate, because I think we do want to not keep working on the one that says, you know, during the emergency, since it's not really relevant anymore.
Oh, I forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, I don't know.
So it sounds like we do want to take the step, though. Should we figure out a way to sign the, well, yeah, but also to go physically sign this? If I heard correctly, we do have to sign it this particular time.
Well, the thing that I was just reading, if I can find that again. Oh, did I close it? It had a sample certificate of vote authorizing the signatures, but on that, it only has like one signature line, and then it says at the bottom where like the city clerk signs, it says on this blank day of blank month, before me personally appeared blank, and then it says chair / vice chair / member of said city board or commission, and proved to me blah 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 blah, and acknowledged to me that she signed it voluntarily for its stated purpose. So I mean, that form is only showing like one person signing it. And it just had like the votes, you know, like what people are voting. This, sorry, I wasn't sharing it. This was the like sample certificate of vote. Basically, it's basically what we already have, just with like some kind of different language, like the date, the motion that was made, the vote, and then at the bottom it has like name / title, signature, and date. And then down here is where it says personally appeared blank.
So I need to get that notarized. Looks like a
Well,
notary thing.
That's what I was just asking. So you would have to have every single meeting summary notarized?
No, I think this form gets notarized.
The initial one, okay.
I think
Okay.
the certificate of vote authorizing the electronic signatures would get notarized
Okay.
and put in the registry of deeds. And then anytime we did electronic signatures in the future, it would say, these are signed electronically, you know, given that, you know, there was a vote to do that and it was recorded in the registry of deeds under book page, whatever. So I think,
yeah.
Go ahead.
I'd kind of like to make a motion. If you could scroll up just a little bit. I'd like to make a motion that the Greenfield Conservation Commission hereby recognizes and accepts the provisions of MGL C110G, Chapter 110G, regarding electronic signatures, and that its members will henceforth execute documents either with electronic signatures or with wet ink signatures. And that,
if I could interrupt you for a second, or that the Conservation Commissioner will apply the electronic signature, like that way we don't have to do it ourselves, you know, like because there's
conservation agent.
The conservation agent will.
Yep, with electronic signatures or with wet ink signatures, and that the conservation agent may apply the electronic signatures as well. And that either of these methods will carry the same legal weight and effect.
Is there a second on that motion?
A second.
All right, Erica got that one.
You got it,
Seconded by
Erica.
Erica. Any further discussion on this?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify what Fletcher was saying. I mean, so we're gonna say specifically that it's our agent. So right now, Mitch, but our agent is the one who has the authority to make the electronic signatures.
Yeah, I think that's what Fletcher said, the agent, but also we could electronically sign things ourselves. Like Mitch could send a thing to all of us and we could each
Okay.
electronically add our signatures and then send it back to him. Or we could
Okay.
have him do it for us,
Okay.
I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, for all commissioners at once.
Yeah. And Mitch, I'll send you this thing that I have open right now. And this example.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
You don't have to memorize. And this has like that whole explanation stuff in here too, so. You'll see. All right, any other discussion? All right, hearing none, we can do a roll call vote. Erica,
Aye.
Kristen,
Aye.
Fletcher?
Aye.
All right, I am also an aye. So you can record 4 ayes for the 4 members who are present. Okay. Anything else we need for that you can think of, Mitch?
No, I think that covers it.
Okay.
Thanks for looking into it.
Yeah, I figured there had to be something out there somewhere.
Went deeper than I thought it did.
Yeah. All right. Let me get back to so next on the agenda is any topics not reasonably anticipated 48 hours in advance of the posting of this agenda. I don't have anything that came up in the last minute. Do you have anything?
I don't.
I
Well,
just
actually,
to remind the commission, sorry, Erica, that I'm
so-
away on the first meeting in October. So just, I know I brought that up. It was in the minutes. I just wanted to remind everybody.
Okay.
Sorry, Erica.
that's okay. I just actually had a question. Of all the things that Mitch had listed of our open orders, what's going on with the pizza place that's down sort of like right past the hotel or right before the hotel?
Looks like it was on pause, although I don't think we got a notification of that, or did we?
Well, that's what I mean. It looks like, yeah, nothing has happened, so I didn't know if it was still. I know that the
Actually active at
last
all,
time,
yeah.
the last time this happened, they didn't realize they were supposed to come for an extension, and it was kind of like 10 years later, and we sort of let it go. But
You don't know what the address is for that one, do you?
well, right now they're at the place right next to where the fire station is going to go in.
Mhm.
So, but I just wonder if somebody should reach out to them just to see what's going on and if they want to, if they need to make an extension or something or whatever.
It's not a bad idea. I'd say the address would be like 105 Mohawk or somewhere
Yeah, I think so.
in that
Like that.
area. Is it next to the gas station? Yeah, I think it's 105
Yeah.
Mohawk Trail.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I don't know, Mitch, maybe could you look into that 105 Mohawk Trail and see if they have like an expired order of, because they came in, they did like an NOI, right? And then they
Yeah.
had to get it, they did an extension once and,
So it's expired.
well, that's what we're
I-
not sure of.
Okay. I
don't
think
think
all
it's
the
3 years.
unexpired ones are on the agenda.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you for pulling that together under project monitoring. That's really great.
Well, I'm just
Yeah,
wondering,
no
I mean,
problem.
they seem like they were kind of doing it in the middle of COVID, and I know there were extensions just automatically given for that, but that may be passed by now.
But anyway, yeah, I can look into that one. See what the deal is.
Just thinking they might need a little
Yeah.
Yeah.
little
it's-
guidance.
Mm.
Okay. So next on the agenda is enforcement updates. I know there was 8 Conway Drive, looks like.
Yeah, I think they reached out for like the first time ever.
Okay.
Took some pictures.
You want to share those?
Yeah, I'm pulling them up. I had more pictures a second ago. There's only one right now. I don't know if they're just now loading, but I got a picture of their dirt pile here.
Yeah, it does say you uploaded 3 photos on the side there, but or it did.
Yeah.
Are they in the, wait, am I in the wrong folder? The 9920? No, that's not right.
Yeah, I'm looking under 9/14/22.
Yeah, I'm in the wrong year. Sorry.
But yeah, I mean, it's good to compare the years.
Oh yeah, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 9 photos in this folder.
Well, I think those are the old ones, aren't they?
Yeah. Mitch, do you have like a summary of what what this most recent enforcement was about?
It was the bunch of dirt piles. It was unauthorized access to the river.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are the big ones.
Could
Which
it be-
I think
do we-
most of the piles are gone, but there is that one.
What-
Hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say,
Is
what was
this-
in the enforcement order? I'm just curious, like what we were requiring them to
Was
do.
this
think-
the one? Was this the one, or did we ever actually?
I think we wanted some kind of plan from them.
Was this about the retaining wall that just appeared, or?
That might be
Yeah.
part of it. This is a long history here.
Yeah, this, when I joined the commission, I remember this came up
Yeah.
early, and it was basically some of the commissioners that have been on for a while basically said that this person has been cited. I don't know if it was emergency enforcement stuff or what, but seems to just ignore these things. But
Yeah, I was surprised when he reached out. I'm not sure
Yeah.
what we're gonna get out of
Well,
him.
they seem to insist that as farmers they're exempt. I don't know. I know
Yeah, I mean,
that we
thanks.
discussed, there was some discussion about trying to have DP,
DEP look into it.
yeah, well, because it was so kind of like convoluted and so in depth. But I don't, yeah.
There
think
are
what-
a number of exemptions,
I
but
think they were so busy, they just said they didn't have time either, whatever.
is this for an agricultural activity that they're creating stockpiles of soil?
I feel like I see a high tunnel in the picture maybe, but
Yeah, they have like a farm stand there. But I don't know if they're
Right.
actually
But
growing
agri-
anything there.
right, you'd have to actually be growing to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
There
have
was
to have.
also,
Exempted.
they had also made, Yeah,
Let's put it this way. When I drive by there, I see some signs for corn and
yeah, and they
like
they
they're
don't
not
seem to understand that part.
there's no
They,
cornfield there, as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so what I recall,
right.
the last thing with this property was that, yeah, we had like reached out to DEP and DEP was not going to take it up, I think. And basically then our only option would be like
Court.
suing, yeah, with like the city's legal counsel and
Yeah.
How long ago was that? Was it more than 2 years ago?
The enforcement order?
Well, that you spoke with the DEP and
Yeah,
was
looks like
circuit
the last
rider?
thing that we talked about was 2018. But
So that,
yeah,
so I'll only say this, that if it was the circuit rider and it was
that, I think it was
2018,
Mark.
so Mark knows more about agricultural exemptions than probably most people in the entire state. And if he decided not to take it up, that's kind of a sign.
Eric's stance has always been, the state's not going to do anything. So like, what are we going to do about it? And it's like, do we want to have this on the agenda forever?
I mean, I wish
Mhm.
I haven't had time to look back in the history, but
Yeah.
has there been incidents that went beyond concerns for potential incidents, or have any of these piles washed in? I mean, it's amazing how close to the river is developed for this particular property, and it's not for agriculture. So that's concerning. But
Well, that's, yeah.
has anything like spilled? Or, I mean,
Well,
aside from the development itself, which is concerning.
There's
but-
one place where well, there was one place where he had made access into the river, like down the embankment into the river. And he said, I think something it was for his kids to be able to launch their boats or something. And we kept saying you can't do that.
Hmm.
So that was there was absolutely no, any kind of erosion controls. The water, it was just embankment was just going into the river.
I think
Oh, so
that's
there's
gone
stuff-
at least.
So there's stuff obscured by the bridge on the overhead I was looking at. So maybe there are some fields at work here.
Is this the
Oh, the property goes
Deerfield?
all the way back.
Is
There
that
might be some out in the back, yeah.
is that the Deerfield River?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
it's the Green River.
That's the Green River?
Oh, yeah, that's where it is right by
the-
Main Street there.
It's the
Crosses
green.
Main Street.
Yeah.
At that moment, it's heading in the direction of the
You know where
Deerfield, but-
Dunkin' Donuts is? It's right across the river from Dunkin' Donuts.
So isn't there a dam right there? Why would their kids be putting a boat in the river there if there's a dam there?
I don't think there's a
Mm.
dam there.
Wait, are you talking about
We're
the
talk-
Dunkin' Donuts that's over like closer to downtown, not the one that's up by me on Federal? That one has
It's, the rental car company, it's behind there.
there's
No, I'm talking about the one that's down by Four Corners. Or whatever it's called down, not Four Corners. Just slightly down the river from Wedgwood.
if
Kind of
it's
right
near
over
the rental car company, there are
over
two
that
dams
road.
there.
This is right in the area
Yeah.
where
Is there?
this is right in the area where we just gave a certificate of compliance for Eversource, where they did the pole replacement.
Right, yeah. Right.
So what's that, like near Wisdom Way or?
It's River Street and Mohawk Trail, Route 2A. Right on that corner. Or right by the Newton School,
Yeah.
Shelburne Road.
Shelburne Road in Greenfield?
Yeah, this is Conway Drive, which is like a little road that comes back off of Main Street, basically. If you want to look up that.
Conway Drive.
I'm sharing a map now.
Oh, thank you.
So it's like here.
Okay, so where the heck is that?
So
It's
Main,
just-
Main
it's just
Street's
four
up
and
here.
eight.
Yeah, 4 and 8.
Yeah, so just downstream of that. There are 2 dams. There's the Mead Street Dam, and then there's the dam by the old Berkshire Gas.
Maybe
So,
like to
like,
live
why are-
dangerously.
Right.
Launching the boats, to go 700 feet before they hit the first of 2 dams. Just no judgment. I'm just saying that's.
Well, I'm not, yeah. I'm not positive. I'm pretty sure I remember that. And I think it sounded more like they just needed access to play around kind of thing.
Yeah, that's
No.
what I think too.
Play around in their boats kind of thing.
They made a beach. They made a private beach.
Kind of, yeah.
It's just the access that's private. They don't own the.
But I know there was also some discussion
bank.
about the greenhouse and
So I'm looking at 2008 letter from Greenfield,
2008 or 2018?
2008.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Says the salt shed located in the northwest corner of the property will be removed. The reason the building cannot be removed at this time. Oh, this is from.
Yeah, I was looking
Okay.
through those documents too. It looks like the Conservation Commission contacted DOT
Yeah.
and said that, hey, they built a shed on DOT property, and then DOT
Hmm.
contacted them and said, hey, remove your shed. And then they replied and said, well, we'll move it at this point. And then DOT responded again and said, no, you'll remove it now because we said remove it immediately.
Hmm.
That's that whole chain of letters about
right.
Got it.
the shed.
And there didn't seem to be any kind of final whether they actually did remove it or not.
Hmm.
Because out of all the things I've heard of or seen so far,
But
that would
I
be the
don't know. I
most.
remember there was discussion.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems like the enforcement order was saying that they would have to submit like a restoration plan.
Well, I'm wondering the retaining wall is semi-new, like in the last like 3 or 4 2 or 3 years. And I wonder if that was his plan, was to put up a retaining wall in front of the wood chip pile, and he thinks that's gonna, but he didn't come and ask permission to put up the retaining wall. So
So he has an active enforcement order that has never been resolved.
Mhm.
And let's say he hopes to sell his property someday, that will be attached to the title, right? So he'll have to, or his descendants will have to deal with that issue at that point. Just dropping it all together may not. Yeah, I don't know, you know?
Yeah.
Well,
So,
apparently it is a family farm that's been around for 100 years or something, 150 years, so I expect that he feels like it's not gonna be sold at any time.
mhm. Mitch, when he reached out, did he like say anything in particular, like, oh, we already resolved this, or I don't know, what was that conversation like?
It was like, he's a farmer, he wants to do what he wants to do, and he doesn't want to come to the commission. And it was like, he wants to be off the list, but I don't know if he wants to do what he needs to do to get off of it.
Mm. Mhm. I would say at this time, we don't have any reason to take him off the list.
Can he
And-
at least like speak with you about a potential resolution that is acceptable to the commission? I mean, he just doesn't want to talk to us at all?
Yeah, I think he told Eric that he would never come to a virtual meeting.
Is that because
Mhm.
he has a particular problem with a former commissioner, or
The
he
last,
doesn't-
Go ahead, Erica.
the last meeting that I recall him coming to, he basically was verbally abusive to everybody in the room. Um, and he actually used to be on the commission, like years and years ago.
He said, I've had enough of that commission. I'm never going back. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess to me, the thing is like, if he's asking to be removed from the list, it's not so much that he's on the list, it's that there's an open enforcement order. That's why he's on the list, right? Like,
that he's made no effort to provide any corrective
Resolve.
actions. Yeah, I mean,
yeah. Is that, so I was trying to remember, is that how it works with enforcement orders? Like, it's like, are those registered? Are those like in the registry?
Yeah, I was wondering that too. I don't know if they do get recorded.
okay.
I have to look into that some more. I think I would say I want to look into more about what that would mean long term if there was an enforcement order, and maybe what additional options we have, or I don't know. I guess I would say tonight I don't want to remove this property from the list, or take back the enforcement order.
Yeah, it would be good to know what sort of teeth an enforcement order has. I mean, is it kind of, I don't know. I'd like to know that too.
Yeah. So maybe him contacting us was a good reminder that we need to look into how to escalate enforcement possibly, if he does not want to comply with our enforcement order. I don't know.
I think it's like legal suits, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it would have to go to like a lawsuit or.
And I also think it's like our case weakens kind of the longer we wait to act on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's not like an open order of conditions that doesn't have a certificate of compliance. Like, we, just last time we met, we had a really old COC request because they were selling the property. An enforcement order doesn't stick to the title like that.
Not that I know of.
Okay.
So I'm reading on the MACC handbook right now. It says, while an enforcement order is an administrative rather than legal document, it does not represent the initiation of formal legal action. It represents the last step before such action, and as such should be a self-contained document. It can be an important exhibit attached to a complaint in court or introduced as evidence. It is also useful in obtaining enforcement assistance from the Mass DEP and other agencies.
And in this case, we don't have DEP backing us,
Well,
or at least we
or
did.
We don't know.
didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't.
Okay. So we need to look into this more administratively.
Yeah. Okay, here it said, hold on, I'm just gonna read this real quick. A copy, this is saying where copies of the enforcement order should go. A copy should not be sent to a bank holding the mortgage or a broker showing the property, since this could lead to a lawsuit. The enforcement order should not be recorded in the registry of deeds, as the Wetlands Protection Act does not authorize commissions to do so, and it may create title problems. Enforcement orders issued by the commission may be appealed to Superior Court, but not to Mass DEP. A case that clarifies that enforcement order appeals for both Watershed Protection Act and local bylaw violations should go to Superior Court via Garrity versus Conservation Commission of Hingham. So
That's really interesting. Thank you.
yeah, so that's in the handbook. So I mean, Mitch, do you think you could reach out to our new circuit writer at DEP and kind of explain the situation with the enforcement order and kind of the response that we just got, that him asking us to?
Yeah, I can do that.
And maybe he's got some advice, or I think that's probably, I mean, I know we reached out to DEP once before, but I didn't see anything in the documents that was like a response from DEP or like them saying anything. So, and like half the commission is different now than it was then, and our DEP circuit writer is different. So I think it's worth looking into again, like contacting DEP and
Yeah.
getting advice.
I'll just say on the overhead maps, like just using aerial photos, it looks like some structure in the northwest was removed. So maybe that was the salt storage, but personally, I know there's allowances for agriculture to push up closer to the edge of rivers, and allowances for riverfront area, but I personally wouldn't want to see this removed until we understand more about what recent complaints have been and what potential actions, like regular actions that the people on the property are doing that could cause harm to the river. Like if they're storing particular things on a regular basis that can just wash right in, then I again, I think we shouldn't just remove it, but
yeah, and I think in the past it looked like it was, fill in the riverfront area, unauthorized fill, unauthorized buildings, things like that. Maybe not necessarily like dumping or like, dumping in the river, things like that, but still violations of Wetlands Protection Act.
Yeah.
So, all right, I think we can leave it there for now. Mitch can contact DEP and.
Sure. I just have a question. If
Yeah.
he's just kind of wondering again, how do I get taken off? Should I just tell him follow the steps on the enforcement order?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I was kind of telling him like, just, for the future, he says he doesn't want to come to the commission for all this stuff, but it's like, he just comes and gets like a 5-year order and just for maintenance kind of stuff. It wouldn't be too bad. You see, maybe he would be open to that.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Um, I don't know. I mean, if it's not exempt, then anything he does should be permitted through
Right.
Conservation Commission. I mean, to me, like saying, "Oh, I won't come to the Conservation Commission," it's like, I mean, to me, that's like, oh, I won't go to the, electrical inspector's office to get my electric inspected, or that I have to do. I don't know. It's like, that's why we're here. um, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that this is what we should do right now, especially since this enforcement order is like 4 years old now, but in our bylaw, it does say that fines can be issued like per day and for violations, and we don't have the authority to issue the fines ourselves, because we have to, like, I don't know, someone explained it one time where we have to like get something, like the police have to do something, yada yada yada. But I believe it does say that a police officer could issue fines on our behalf. Like somehow in there it says that. So if we ever wanted to issue a fine for something, I think technically it is possible. We would just have to get, I think, either a police officer, or there might be someone else who can do it too, but I don't remember who that was. So yeah, just something to think about.
All right. Till next time.
Not saying we're necessarily, finding this person or whatever, but. Okay. All right. So the only thing left on our agenda then, I don't think there were any other enforcement updates, right, Mitch?
No, that was it.
Yeah. So are there any project monitoring, correspondence, and site visit scheduling?
Well, that 34 Glenbrook
yeah.
is done. No, they wanted an extension on the project, even though there's some confusion. They were already done.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's the one I went to the site visit for, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to think I was like, where's Glenbrook Drive?
Yeah, and the project that they showed us that hasn't started. I don't think they even started the permitting.
So did they? But they don't have a like a certificate of compliance for the one that was already done, or they do?
Not yet. I suggested that that's what they do next.
Okay.
So we're just waiting on that.
Okay. Yeah. So for people who weren't on the site visit, basically there's a project where they want to build a new solar array, and they thought there was an open order of conditions for it, but really it was for a previous solar array that they had built that was already done. So we did a site visit we did see that too, and we did see that it was done. But yeah, I guess the new one hasn't been permitted yet, but they haven't actually done anything. They're just waiting for the process of working with Eversource to go through.
Mhm.
Is it forested area, out of curiosity?
No, it's just a
No.
green lawn.
Nice.
Yeah, it's at Just Roots, or like what's that camp called? Camp.
Camp
Camp
Cool
Health
Colony.
camp or
Yeah.
There you
Oh.
go.
That's my farm share.
It's right beside that.
Just Roots.
It's apparently the big field where they used to have the Wormtown.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's where the we saw the utility pole
Yeah.
replacement, the giant high tension ones recently.
Yeah.
Right in that area.
Right on the other side of that. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay. Well, if there are there's nothing else on the agenda, I guess. So 8:52 p.m. It's not quite 9 yet.
I'll move to adjourn if there's no objection, since that seems to be my signature move.
I'll second it.
All right, a motion to adjourn. I guess we'll do a roll call vote here. Erica,
Aye.
Fletcher,
Aye.
Kristen.
Aye.
All right, and I'm also an aye. And we are adjourned at 8:52 p.m.
All right.